So Vivek, can we start off?
Now here's a fact to help keep things real. The median age in India is 25. And looking at this room, actually, it probably would be even lower in this room. In other words, half the people in this country are 25 or younger. And what that means is that half the people in this country really only know the post-1991 India of post-liberalization. They've grown up in a different India than their parents or their grandparents or their great-grandparents. They're the children of 1991. And many of you here probably weren't even born when India opened itself up to the world. And as such, this enormous mass of young people we have in this country, and I can see many young faces here, you have aspirations, you have dreams, you want to be bold. They want to be bold. But they often feel stymied by a system, by institutions, by a type of governance, which is a word that's often used, that was set up not even by their parents or grandparents, even their great-grandparents' generation set up these institutions that, in a sense, often young people feel holds them back. These are structures, whether it's in politics, business, entertainment, the media, where nepotism and corruption are rife, cronyism, dynasticism, all of these things that give someone in a position of privilege access which someone else doesn't have, even though that other person might have greater merit on their side. And this is made worse by, if you like, the unfinished reforms. I mean, we had sort of two bursts of major economic reforms in India under Prime Minister Rao, and I say that advisedly, the Rao reforms, and then under the NDA. And we've had now 9 years of a rolling back to the old socialist sort of dirigist mindset, and Jaggi mentioned the food security bill. We can talk more about that. I've written about it, you've written about it as well. So this adds to the frustration that an economy which was growing at about close to 9.5, we almost hit 10, we got close to 10, has now fallen back down to earth to 4.5%, 5%. And this will further stymie aspirations and make it therefore harder to be bold and stay focused on these sort of realistic possibilities. Now, I won't belabor the point, but there are glimmerings of change. We might be on the cusp of a major change in India. Next year's elections might represent the first time where the urban middle classes, young people, actually can have a decisive impact, maybe not on the outcome, but at least the agenda. What are we talking about? Corruption, governance, reform, coming back onto the agenda, which has been absent for the last 9 years. So that is a measure of the growing importance of this bolder, younger generation. And I think it's too early to say. I think next year may be a little too early for that turning point, but at least the ideas are there, the concepts are there. And from being sort of passive agents, the urban middle classes are now playing an active role in politics, in discussion, in analysis. Now, I'll just finish up. I don't want to take too much time, just with pointing out some of the downsides, the darker side of the picture. I mean, we all often talk about this enormous transition we're making, a huge change, hundreds of millions of people, a huge demographic change in this country. Now, these young people, you guys, are going to have to find jobs at some point, be educated, get the skills and the training you need, and then find gainful employment. Now, where are those jobs going to come from in the absence of a major set of structural economic reforms? And what the worrisome scenario, and this is what really worries me, is that if one looks around the world, when you have sort of lots of young people who are ambitious, who have aspirations, but those aspirations are frustrated or left unfulfilled, for whatever reason, you have a recipe for social chaos, for social disaster. Look at what happened in the Arab Spring. Look at what's happening now in Brazil. This is something one sees around the world. And often this manifests in very specific types of sort of social ills. There's very strong evidence, for instance, that when you have what's called a youth bulge, you have a rise in violence, a rise in crime, violence against women in particular is very strongly correlated with with the youth bulge. And what this suggests is that it's not just economics, it isn't just politics, it's a moral imperative for all of us in India to try and now sort out, after a number of years of drift, get our act together, start dealing with problems like governance, like infrastructure, like corruption. And we have to therefore create this platform. Otherwise, we're going to have lots of people with lots of ambitions who are educated, perhaps, perhaps not, but who don't have the opportunities that they rightly feel that this country owes them after so many years of struggle and of dealing with all sorts of huge difficulties. So I would say that there's both, we have to be bold and look forward, but we have to be mindful of the dangers and the traps that lie ahead of us, and that's, I think, where the realism comes in. Thanks, I'll stop there. Thank you.
First, congratulations to Kumar and the Leap Forward team. I think this is a great effort.